What's up, everybody? Dan here with Dan and Sarah Makers, and we are starting installment 3 of our garden shed build. We worked on getting our batter boards installed and some of our parallel string lines for the front and back of the building yesterday. Did some milling, got a little late, so we called it quits for the night. We are going to work on setting our string lines so that they are square to the rest of the building. We'll do some 3, 4, 5 triangles to get them approximately square. Then we'll dial it in with some full diagonals. One thing, and we knew this was a potential and it occurred, we've got to take out this section of our fence here, this corner with the corner brace. Not the end of the world. The trees, when we took the trees down, they kind of swiped it, so we can unbolt it, take the 3 horizontal pieces out, and then we'll just pull the vertical post out with the farm jack and a chain at the base. Then comes the most miserable and or exciting part. We dig holes for those pier blocks, get them relatively level, each one individually. I'm not worried about height. I just want a set height at one corner, and then everything else can cascade downhill or be lower than that, because we'll actually cut posts to the correct height. But we'll work on that today, and then hopefully we can get into actually building the floor. So that will be a 2x6 perimeter board all the way around. And then I've got a bunch of leftover steel studs from a job probably a year or 2 ago that we're going to use as our main joists down the center. That'll help with dry rot, insects, things like that. It's a good way to use up steel studs when they're a structural grade stud. They're strong enough to support the floor. So I'll start by taking this down, and when Sarah's out here, we will start squaring this up. Honestly, it's sad to see that one section of fence go, because that amounted to probably several hours of work for a couple people. We dug these posts in when it was frozen, so it was a lot of digging bar breaking through the frozen dirt, and then we have the diagonal there. And honestly, since it's the last corner we did, it was probably one of our best, I guess, if that's how things work out. So we've got that out of the way. Now we don't have anything impeding our foundation, doing layout, putting our joists in our deck, anything like that. So we're free and clear to start getting that deck going. Well, it's now almost 5 o'clock. We spared you the gory details of digging the holes or depressions for our foundation blocks. For the garden shed itself, we're going to have 9 of them, basically on a 7-foot grid. So we'll have 3 on each side and then a row down the middle of 3. And then on the porch out front, we'll have a couple on either corner and 1 in the center. So that gives us basically a 7-foot grid throughout. Let's see, that's 3, 6, 9, 12 blocks total. The way we've done it, we've established this front, for you guys, front left corner block as being the control point. So the top of that block needs to be at least level with the other blocks or higher. So all the blocks need to be lower. Why I'm doing that is because getting these blocks in the right position and sliding them around so they're all in line is tough enough and getting them level, but to then get them level with all the others, it's just ridiculous to try and do that. So I establish one point as my high point, and then I prefer to have all the rest kind of cascade away or be lower, and then I'll come through. We've got some pressure treated 6x6 scrap posts that was laying around, and we're going to cut shims, or basically blocks, to the correct height so that all the rest of the concrete piers are the same level as our front control pier. Just a lot easier, a lot faster, a lot less headache. So that being said, we're using a rotary laser, a Hilti PR26 I believe it is, with a receiver, and so I've gone through and I've verified that I'm either at that elevation or lower. Now when I want to go and cut my blocks, I want to cut each block so that when I set the laser on top of that block at each location, it's a solid tone. I know it's level, it's in the correct plane, and then we can set our floor joist system on top of that, those blocks, and I know my floor is more or less level. We spent a good amount of time. If you see over here, we had some big roots coming off these trees that we had to cut down that obviously they're always going to be in the way of where you need to put your pier blocks. So I had to cut through a root probably about that big, so Pulaski, the Makita chainsaw, and then just a pile of slivers and splinters. So root wood is very, very strong and pretty miserable to dig through. So I'm going to cut my Ponderosa pine rim to the correct length. I'll have two 14-footers, and then I'll have two at, let's see if I can do this, 13 foot 9 inches, and that will basically form my square. Before I put them in place, I'm going to screw a bunch of A35, Simpson A35 brackets on there, which are the little L-shaped clips, because I screw those to the wood, and then I screw the other side of that bracket to the steel stud. Just a little something you got to do when you're working between steel studs and wood. You got to have some kind of interconnection, and screws are usually the best option for doing that. So I'm going to screw all those brackets on before we set them in place. It's just easier when you've got 4 screws per clip to the wood to do it that way. Do we dare check?
Level?
Yeah.
Huh.
Pretty close.
Like within a quarter?
Probably at least a quarter.
That's good.
It's well within the lines.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So we can always get a tilt shim. If we're a 1/16 low on one side or something, that's those thin plastic hard shims. We can just slide a shim under there. So, but yeah, we got the front and back. We've got all our clips on for our steel studs. I'll cut the two side pieces at the 13'9". We'll screw them together with the Torx headed screws, and we'll have our square. Yeah, cut some.
But dinner is ready.
Dinner's afoot?
Dinner is afoot.
Dinner is afoot.
Your feet don't look very edible.
Not right now. Oh, almost. Ah.
Nice. Beautiful. Are we going to true this up again?
Oh yeah.
Like with a square?
Diagonal.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely. All right, it's the end of another day. We have our 2x6 rim joists in here now, as you can see. It's really awesome. It is the first time we've been able to use our own lumber that we cut down, we milled it, and now we're turning it into an actual structure. I'm super excited about this. Sarah is too. So it was a tough day, but we're getting out of the ground, which is always miserable, and we're gonna keep going. So remember to like, subscribe, share, and follow us on Instagram at Dan and Sarah Makers, and get out there and do something.